Hello, RUF CTR fans, or Yellowbird fans. So here we have a 1/43rd scale deformed version of the Yellowbird in 1987 from Ritter Goods. If you wonder where to get it, you can actually go to their website, and it's $150. So it's not cheap. I guess once you go bigger in scale, things get more expensive, of course. So let's open this up here. It says 2023 is when this thing first came out. So I don't know if there's a limited production on these. And I generally don't collect larger models. It's just that I've never seen it. It looked good in the photographs, so figured I'd try it out. You'll see here it says 001. I don't know if they plan to make other ones. I kind of hope that they don't. This is actually designed by this individual's name, Andrew Ritter. Okay, Andrew, we're going to put you under some scrutiny here because I'm a picky person. That's really cool. Yeah, nice drawings. Okay, nice stats too. It's funny. Oh, that's 100 miles per hour. That's actually pretty fast for 100 miles per hour, I think. Okay, they're the specs of the real car. Very nice. That's smart. All right, these guys are out of California, and this is officially licensed, so you don't have to feel like an evildoer buying this thing. It's licensed. So it's a big box. I'm not a fan of it because I like to collect small things, but I guess there's no way around it. I mean, it's a big model. Well, for me, it's a big model. So if you look at these images back here, there are different variations of the Yellowbird. Some don't have fog lights and a more rounded thing, but we're going for the 87, I guess, which has these square fog lights. I've also seen some with, white turn signals, but this one has orange turn signals. I have a suspicion like the 87, maybe that's the first one. Okay, so we have a nice, just your standard type of base, which I appreciate because I don't need to buy expensive bases. I don't care about the base, I only care about the model. So hopefully that costs less money. Boy, this is expensive looking though. That's a nice metal etched plate. It's like a mirror, but the rest of it is etched away. And then I suppose they must have painted a black or something in there. It looks like a registration tag you'd find on the engine bay of a real car. It's really actually kind of nice, but yeah, it's probably pretty expensive. I had to pay for that. Okay, so it's being 1/43rd scale is bigger than the things I usually review, but we're going to give it a try anyways. Starting with the front wheel. I have to assume this is 3D printed. I will say it's not very nice. It's not round. This is much thicker up here than over here. So the execution of this wheel is not very good. If it's, maybe it was printed at an angle, if it is 3D printed, or if it's not 3D printed, it just has a lot of gouge marks in it. But no, I think, see all those lines? Yeah, so this person doesn't seem to understand the basics of 3D printing. If you have a circular object, you want to print it vertically. You don't listen to YouTube saying print things at an angle. So, granted, this person probably didn't make this. Some factory probably made it, and the factory doesn't know what they're doing. So, Mr. Ritter, tell your factory to learn how to print something circular. You just print it flat and up, and then you'll have a circle. But this is printed at an angle, and it's ovalized. Or, well, deformed. It's just not good. What is nice is that you have the roof there, and then individual looking lug nuts painted black. You have a 3D printed brake rotor with some cross drilling back there, and then you have a black brake caliper, which looks nice. This tire could be a little bit smoother. At least it's rounded, it's not slab-sided, but it's kind of compressed there. The rear wheel, yes, it's a little better than the front wheel, but I do feel, again, maybe over here, this lip is just too narrow compared to this lip up here. And I think, again, it's probably because maybe it was printed at an angle instead of vertically. The roof is a little off here, but still, alright, brake calipers there. Then we have a decal here, it looks like, and then we have a little jack-up point probably there. This is a really nice door handle. It's literally got air passing behind it so you could grab it, and then there's a little silver paint for the lock mechanism. Off the get-go, this paint looks pretty good here. It's really sharp reflection, the clear coat is very smooth. There's also a circular thing there. But for hopefully I can Hopefully that's just glue residue, but there's some sort of bump I can feel there. I don't know if I can polish that out. I think that's the fuel filler in the real car. Alright, so that's just grime, that's fine. Separate mirror, that makes sense, and it has a reflective sticker, literally a mirror. The super thin kind of packaging plastic, and then a nice photo etch painted black window surround. That looks fantastic. Okay, we have a vent with a separate piece in there with a nice ridging. I think that looks good. That could be better there. Okay, going around to the front, we have some nice clear turn signals with some striations in them and a light bucket behind them, so that looks good. The headlight looks good as well. It's smooth on the outside, but it's got ridges on the inside and what looks like a light bucket behind there. And then you get a little bit of a line detail for that bezel on the real car. And the real car does have this black like gasket on the bumper, and they got that, and it looks nice. Much better than the Power 64 I'm going to pull out later. Unfortunately, this is not placed horizontally. It's shifted or something during its application. Yeah, okay. These fog lights do look good again. Smooth on the outside, striations and what looks like a chrome light bulb behind it, and the black surround. So that's pretty nice. Nice photo etched metal grille here. That's good. And again, the paint is really good. Look at this. This is awesome. This is a rectangle. We have a square LED above us. And this reflection, the edges are so sharp. This could possibly be the smoothest paint job in my collection. Possible. I don't know. I can't remember 1,000 or 2,000 models. Okay. There's some black paint in there. That makes sense. Maybe a little too much there, but that's fine. This looks good. The wheels, okay, on this side are a little... This wheel's not so bad. It's still not perfect, though. It's like flat right here. There's some sort of roughness here. No roughness there. Not roofness. Joke. That looks good. It looks actually better than the other door handle. And then there's a hatch here. Is that an oil filler hatch? I don't remember. That's actually the best wheel out of the 4. So 1 out of 4 looks pretty good. But that's statistically not really great. This tire looks better. This tire does not. So whoever makes this, they're not at the top of their game. It's that simple. You'll also see there's a giant gap here. There's no gap here. So this axle just isn't... Oh, well then never mind. That's fine. So you can just shift it. Okay. Alright, so the exhaust there looks fantastic. It's molded plastic, but it's really well done. I don't know why they could get this perfect and not the wheels. Maybe this is molded and not 3D printed. There's nice black paint in these recesses. I can feel those depressions. And then what is this? Is this a etched resin thing? Hold on. I think those are red reflectors on the car, but maybe that's a decal because it's kind of coming up there. Hopefully that won't flake off. No, you know what? I do feel like it's a separate piece. See the thickness? So you have some resin transparent red things there. That's nice. And then you have these bumps. I guess those are the lights for the license plate. And look at the rear photo. It is color matched. It's not supposed to be black. So that's actually accurate. And then it's nice that there's an actual license plate. And you know what? I see this number on this Top Gear photo I'm looking at. So that's accurate to a real car. Maybe this is the press car for the company. Anyways, this light strip here is fantastic. It's perfectly smooth on the outside. Over here you have orange. You have the black molding around it. But look at all the vertical ribbing, and then you can see the light buckets with the light bulbs in there. So that's really nice. But I don't know if this should be red all the way across. Looking at that Top Gear photo, this middle section should be yellow. But there's many variations, I guess, of this car, so... But not with this license plate, so maybe this is wrong if you're gonna go for accuracy of the license plate. Okay, well anyways, it's still nice. I rather like it. Again, really smooth paint. A little black there. Maybe I can polish it off later. Knock it off. Alright, I gotta back off here. The whale tail. It's not perfectly flat up here. You can see how it dips down there. But this is nice. We have a nice photo etched metal grille and then it's painted okay, I guess. There's a little extra black, some contaminant in there. Alright, again, look at this roof. This is nice. There's a little dent there. That's a contaminant, but still, well, that's such a sharp edge. It's impressive. It really is. Alright, the window molding on this side is fine. There's a little window molding metal on this. You can see how thin the windows are. So you can look right through it. Alright, and no distortion. You can literally look through angled windows and see how my skin is peeling from winter dryness. Alright, so we have a black interior. I guess that's mimicking the real thing. Okay, the camera's going to shake around because it's on a spring boom. But I have this model in a vol vise. Oh, look at this. The molding has popped up. So that's a problem. I don't know what glue they use to hold these things down. And that thing is so thin. No, that's going to be horrible to try to fix. Alright, continuing on the interior, you can see the instrument gauges. They're individual decals in those recesses, but you can see the air pocket on the main decal right there. So there's a chance that's just going to fall off in the future. The steering wheel itself has no logo whatsoever. You would think there'd be a RUF logo there. Some sort of knob, radio detail, though it's not very good considering how physically large this model is. That's the detail I expect in a 164, but 143rd, they could have made more molding detail. The roll cage itself, yeah, looks pretty good. The seat backs, interesting, the seats are not at the same height, but they do have openings for the seat belt harnesses. You can see the stick shift there. Hopefully I gotta get rid of that reflection from above us. And yeah, another gauge. Those gauges are okay. Let me increase the light here. No, I gotta go over here maybe. Oh, now it's coming out of the vise. Look at the door panel. Minor detail. So they have rear seats. Can't tell. Hold on. It's a little dusty inside of there. You know, it's just too close. I can't tell what I'm even looking at. Unfortunately, this ball vise is too small to actually fit this base in it, so I have to go the old school way. Well, I guess there's not much else to it. It's just a black interior. There's no indication of seat belts or the seat belt buckles. That's something you would get in a 164 scale resin. Yeah, there's no rear seats, I don't think. The door panels, I don't know if they're that basic on the real car, so it's hard to say. And yeah, alright, I guess there's not much else to talk about. There's no turn signal stocks or wiper blade stocks, which again, you would find in a 164 scale resin model, costing half this much. So, yeah, that's not good. if you think about the value of things. I guess it's because, well, no, I mean, I was going to say it's a physically larger model, so it's more material, and the material costs money. But if this costs twice as much as a 164 scale model, then that doesn't make sense to me. It should have as much detail as a 164 scale model if it costs twice as much and is twice as big, right? But no, this thing costs twice as much, is missing a lot of details that something in a smaller scale would have. So that's my criticism. So here is a 164 scale version by Power64. And it doesn't have as much detail because this is die cast and this thing probably costs $15 or less. But it's still pretty good for the price, I think. Here's a 1/43rd scale IXO, I think, or IXO of some sort of Ferrari. It doesn't actually see that. I don't see the brand on the bottom of this. Maybe it's not an IXO. I forget who makes it, but you can search for it on the website, my channel, if you want to really know. I guess width-wise, it does make sense. You know, if this was made in the 60s or whatever, it would be a much smaller car. It's from the late 80s, it would be a wider car, I would assume, due to, you know, crash standards and stuff like that, all the stuff they had to put into every consecutively newer generation of vehicle. Alright, so I did want to throw out, though, there's a really cheap toys here. They're pullback toys you can find on AliExpress by Unifortune, I think it is. But they're not listed as Unifortune. I think I also may have found Huawei as another descriptive. But anyways, this is not a non-scale deformed car, but it is bigger, much bigger actually. I think I bought that for like $10 or less, delivered. So, yeah, it's not bad considering its price. No wiper blades. At least the Power 64 knows that cars have wiper blades. So, if you love, you know, this car in real life, I think this is a must-have. It does have really nice paint. That's what's going for it. But in the realm of collecting small model cars, at this price, these guys are not good. Whoever makes this just isn't a good company. It's okay, I would say it's middle of the road. It's not horrible, but it's missing such basic details that you would find in a much cheaper product. You know, wiper blades, turn signal stocks, foot pedals, seat belts indication, right? A license plate on the front, I don't know if maybe it doesn't need it, but it is questionable if that's this full red light bar on the back of there. So yeah, some issues for sure. And then with all resin cars, these windows pop loose. So I don't. It's going to be hard for me to fix that window frame. So I think really small model cars are not generally a smart investment. The die-cast ones get paint rash, and then these resin ones, the windows pop loose. The best solution that I think I've seen so far is a resin body with molded windows, like a die-cast has. If you can do that, you're going to have less visibility into the interior, but it won't fall apart in the future. So ideally, you know, more companies will start doing that combination, a plastic body and molded plastic windows. That's just my take on things. I am curious, there is a tread, by the way, tread pattern on this thing. You know, this whole thing's wacky on the bottom. Sorry, we're gonna take this off the stand because I'm probably gonna have to do it anyways to deal with that window thing. So let me. Let's see what the bottom of this looks like. Wrong bit. Okay, so there is the bottom. It does tell you, you know, who made it, what the car is, so I think that's fantastic. It does actually roll. Oh, well, not really, no. That one moves a little bit. Okay, so it's interesting they would bother even dealing with these under details when no one's going to really look at it, seeing how it's screwed down to a base. But yeah, also, why is that roll cage so low? They could have easily made it go higher. It's kind of strange, actually. But yeah, this is a big problem. I don't know how to glue something that thin down and not use crazy glue. But crazy glue leaves that residue, the white residue. It's gonna like melt it and burn into it. So I'll have to figure something out. Okay, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next deformed video. Bye now.